Here's why a local law firm has to pay $2 million for giving bad legal advice during a divorce. My name is Paige Sparks. I'm a local lawyer, and when I saw this huge verdict, it caught my attention, and here's what happened. The law firm involved is Cordell & Cordell, and this is one of the most prominent fathers' rights law firms in America. That's their main advertising point, is that they're for the fathers. The father was represented for a divorce and modification proceeding from a lawyer from this firm. Her name is Erin Zielinski. Before the divorce was filed, father regularly had access to wife's email account. He had the password and permission to access it. After the divorce was filed, he continued to access it and looked up private or privileged confirmation, including her medical information, and he also read correspondence between her and her father when they were trying to get his private medical information to get him fired. Father was a veteran with PTSD, and they were trying to use his mental health condition against him. When father went to his lawyer, Zielinski, and said, "Hey, I have this information. This is how I found it," and he says he fully disclosed that to her, she told him he could continue accessing the wife's email and to report back to her, and he did this over the course of several months. Eventually, the wife found out because they were quoting direct things from this email, and they kind of added two and two together. At the beginning of representation, when father went to the lawyer and said, "Hey, I'm accessing these emails," she said that he had the right to continue accessing the wife's emails during the divorce because he had consent during the marriage, which is wrong. Not only is this advice unethical, it's unlawful, and he faced possible criminal proceedings for doing this. He had to hire a separate criminal defense attorney. Eventually, Zielinski said stop accessing the wife's emails illegally, and then she denied even knowing that he did that. This had a huge impact on father's life. He had a federal IT job, so being accused of these types of cyber crimes took a huge toll on him at work. In addition to that, this was used against him in court. He lost custody with his kids and had to have supervised visitation. There were a lot of other major screw-ups during the rest of this case by Zielinski. She allegedly did not take depositions, did not get all the required documents that she would need to represent him, and also she miscalculated his child support calculations. He was significantly overpaying that amount, and she even consented to dividing a disability payment he got from his military service, which you cannot do during a divorce. Zielinski was also accused of accepting settlement terms on behalf of the father, which he did not agree to or consent to. Once the lawyer from Cordell & Cordell started getting in trouble, they kind of bombarded him and used his mental health against him. They threatened him, saying if people ever knew about this, he would lose his job. And then she also shared privileged and confidential information she learned during the course of representing him with a new attorney he was trying to hire. We can't do that. The lawsuit alleged that after he paid over $100,000 in legal fees to Zielinski for a modification that should have costed around $40,000, then he paid additional fee to a criminal defense attorney to represent him. He was overwhelmed by the totality of the circumstances coupled with his already existing PTSD from military service, and he unfortunately took his own life. After the trial, the jury found Cordell & Cordell and Zielinski jointly and severally liable for giving bad legal advice, which started the whole issue by telling him to access his wife's emails illegally. The jury awarded $2 million plus post-judgment interest. This case is significant for two reasons. First, legal malpractice cases are very hard to prevail on. They're very hard to win because you have to be able to show that without that legal malpractice, without that bad advice, the case would have changed or ended up differently. It's a high burden of proof. The second part is this is one of the first cases we've heard of for legal malpractice against a family law attorney where specific malpractice bad advice was isolated and created a snowball effect for the rest of litigation. Based off the jury verdict and what the jury found credible, this attorney violated at least 4 or 5 rules of sharing confidential information, giving false legal advice which could have led to criminal prosecution. He lost custody of his kids and had his job threatened. Very sad situation that ended in $2 million worth of damages awarded against the law firm and the attorneys, and it's a reminder to not access email that is not yours because not only can it create huge trouble, there can be huge consequences. Comment to let me know what you think.